All right, so it should be recording. What's up, everybody? We're here with Jake Herbert, U.S. Olympian, former wrestler for Northwestern, and he just won the 2015 U.S. Open. So after you say hi to everyone, Jake, I'd love to hear from you about what that was like.
It was great. I mean, like I said, I went from announcing the U.S. Open one year to being the champion of the tournament the next year. And I still look at Kyle Schneider for stealing my outstanding wrestler from me. But I'm going to let him go with that right now because he's young. You know, he deserves it. But I definitely got best hair of the tournament. So
Easily best hairstyle. Yeah, Kyle Schneider's been kind of a badass, kind of on a roll this year.
So yes, it was awesome. Yeah.
Cool, man. And you know what? I saw you came in extra jacked for that tournament. So how'd you switch your training regimen up?
Just our training system, you know, it's consistency over time. It's what got me back into the sport. You know, our base wrestling training system, a lot of people have been hearing a little bit about it and thinking, oh, it's just flips and cartwheels and becoming a really good athlete. Well, that's the physical part of the training system. You know, every training system needs three things. You need your physical development, your technical development, and then your mental approach.
Nice.
And you need to be at world class in every single area. And again, you can't be too good in every area. You can even look at somebody like Jordan Burroughs, and he can still improve as much as a disbelief it is. He can still improve physically. He can still improve technically, and he can still improve mentally, no matter how good you are. So that's when you put all three of those together, you know, you get this. And,
love it, brother.
You know, results aren't typical, but
yeah.
I'm just saying they're typical.
Yeah, man, you're speaking my language. I could talk to you about this forever. I actually like to call it the four pillars. There's one part, but you're showing it off right now. It's nutrition. That's my fourth pillar. Yeah. Mindset, fitness, technique, nutrition.
You're all right, G. I like that a lot. And that's a big thing. Like I said, I'm putting down a gallon a day of that water. Well, it's
cheers.
Free-ish. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So it's been great, you know, and we have it developed at the elite level, which most people think is the hardest, but that's actually the easiest part. We have it for the elite athletes, you know, the elite high school kids and, you know, top college kids. But what we've really taken our time doing is reverse engineering it down for your average high school, your junior high, and then your youth programs. That's really where it took us time, and not just time, but we had to experiment. We had to start a program here in Michigan, you know, which is essentially our wrestling laboratory, and you know, test these things in there. You know what it is, because what you're doing at the youth level is completely different than what you're doing at the elite level. You know, we don't need our kids hurting and doing really hard, mentally challenging things and getting, you know, black eyes and shiners like this at 8, 9, 10, you know, in week 3 or 4 in the sport. You got to make it fun. They got to love it. They got to fall in love with the sport, or else they're not going to bleed for it and hurt for it later. So that was you know, and it's changing those philosophies and that mindset, because if you're a youth wrestling coach, unless you're Jody Stripmatter at the Young Guns Wrestling Club, you know, you shouldn't be training kids to win Reno World Championship. Your goal as a typical, you know, we're talking the average youth wrestling coach, which is 90% of the population that are out there, should be to get as many kids as they can, to retain as many kids as they can year to year. You know, make them as physically gifted as possible and get them to the next level, which is, you know, either their junior high or whatever the next, you know, level is at their league or program. And it's, you know, and it comes from coordinating, because every high school coach should talk to his youth, you know, his youth or feeder program, which is either junior high or youth. And they all got to work together. So you have stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, you know, and then unfortunately after stage 3, after high school, we're losing 80% of our guys. You know, only 20% of the kids in high school wrestling are going to go on to wrestle in college. And that's for various different reasons of, you know, lack of programs in college, just people, you know, starting their life, you know, focusing on school, going to other sports, you know, for whatever variety of reasons. It's the 80-20 rule.
Right. Oh, it sounds like you've thought a lot about that. I love that you mentioned the gymnastics thing. I say this to my guys too. I run some practices for kids that are just trying wrestling out for the first time, and I have them do gymnastics, and I get some weird looks. And, you know, the first thing I say to them is, you got to be able to control your own body before you can control someone else's body.
Exactly. And I get weird looks too, and they're like, what does having a cartwheel have to do with my kid hitting a double leg, you know? I'm just like, well, sir, let me show you what a high crotch to a double leg looks like when you drop someone on their head. that's doing it correctly. Now, if I can't do a cartwheel, how am I going to pick up somebody who's my own size and do this cartwheel motion if I can't yet do it myself?
Right. Yeah.
And they start to understand it, and these guys see it, and it's fortunate that because of my acclimates, they listen to me. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, he's an Olympian. Okay, so we'll believe him. But what gets me down is when you have a coach saying the same things I have, and the parents are questioning him and be like, this isn't right. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's not a state champion. Well, you don't need to be a state champion, an NCAA champion, or even an Olympian to be a great wrestling coach. That's not the qualities, and that's what we want our system to be able to do. Is anybody can come in and learn these philosophies and be positive. Be enthusiastic, follow our system and training program, and have a successful wrestling program.
Interesting. And you see that in a lot of other sports. Coaches aren't necessarily the most successful athletes in those particular sports. I mean, when you talk about football, but wrestling, I think, is definitely something where that's not quite the case yet. At least as the sport evolves.
But look at basketball. Like I can't name one. I can't really name too many basketball players, but I don't think there's one.
I won't. I refuse to look at basketball.
Who's like an NBA player?
Right.
Like they're all short little white ball dudes. And you're like, you would get killed in the NBA, but here he is coaching an NBA team. Because you don't have to be able to do that. And it's the same thing with the Detroit Red Wings. Just hired a head coach who's never played hockey. And It started out, he started coaching, he was an attorney, and he started coaching his kids' youth team. And he did really good there, so they asked him to coach his junior team. And he did really good, and he took the top of the nation, so he got into this college, asked him to do it. So he went and coached his college, and then he's coaching for the minor league of Detroit Red Wings, and now he's the Detroit Red Wings head coach. And he's never played hockey a day in his life.
That was Emilio Estevez, right? That's right.
100%, without the drinking, things.
That's hilarious, man. Shows how much I know about other sports.
That's what I put a lot of time and focus into is learning and doing that, because it's my goal to have some mother out there who's never wrestled in their life take a youth program and turn them into a powerhouse just using our system. And that's really been like the goal behind it. All right, if we create this practice program, we need it for the mom or the dad who's never wrestled and can say, hey, I can run this program because I have these base wrestling guidelines, as philosophies, and here's the practice program plans, and now I have everything you need. So that's what we've been looking to create, and we've been working on for the last 3.5 years.
Very interesting. Now, so I want to tie and beat the streets of the Beat the Streets Gala a little bit, but it's before we get to the gala itself. It's funny that you mentioned that, because I don't know if you're familiar with this, but part of the way Beat the Streets work is they have this concept of mentor coaches, which I've done for the organization. So basically, the programs that get started in the middle schools and the high schools very often are coached by teachers in those schools that have zero wrestling experience. And what we do is we'll bring in a coach, somebody like myself or one of the other former college wrestlers in New York City, to come into the school and maybe once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, run a practice with the coach to kind of help them learn how to coach. So you're coaching the coaches.
And that's huge, because that's where we need the most help. We're not getting beat by Russia, because we don't have the numbers. And we're not getting beat by Russia because we don't have the talent. We're not getting beat by Russia because we don't have the plan. We're getting beat because our every single coach in Russia has to go to a university and get a degree. Spend 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is, get a degree to coach any program. Wow. And it's amazing, because you walk into a practice in Moscow, up in Krasnoyarsk, down in the southern provinces, the practice structure is exactly the same. You cannot even find 4 high schools that are all right next to each other that run the same exact practice structure, because everyone has a different philosophy, because it worked different for everybody else. And that's just a big example. And it might work, because Tervel Delagnov and Jordan Burroughs go to the World Championships and they both bring back bronze. And they trained 2 completely different ways, because one way works best for Jordan, the other way works best for Tervel. Yeah. But you look at Russia's team, they came back with 6 gold medals, 1 bronze medal, and their one guy who didn't place was a defending world champion.
Wow.
And they all have, they tell you, what do you do for practice? Well, we start out with our warm-up, and then we go on to this, and then we go on to that, and it's the same exact practice structure. So
Interesting.
it's insane that we don't have something like that here yet. But that's what we're putting together here at Base Wrestling, and that's what we partnered up with Beat the Streets to start to do. Is help them out with that curriculum, teach them this program, because it's going to help us, one, build it faster, and in the nonprofit sector, we want to help that grow, because Beat the Streets is a great thing. And it shows that like anybody that participates in these after school activities and can become better athletes and essentially learn physical literacy are going to do better in the schoolroom, are going to have more confidence, are going to be able to help more people. They're going to be better people, because the mind and the body aren't two separate things. You can't just train one without training the other. The better you get physically, teaching yourself a cartwheel, teaching yourself a high crotch, teaching yourself the handspring, balance, or anything, that helps your mind learn better too, so that when it comes to learning math, science, biology, it's going to work better there too. And there are just so many studies I've read about that in physical literacy that we really can't wait to start that, help the Beat the Streets programs with.
Cool. Yeah, I'm excited. We'll probably get a chance to work together. I helped Beat the Streets put together their practice, their online practice portal where you can log on and check out their practices and see different examples that Bigley runs you through. So as we're updating that with the Base Wrestling program, I'm going to be excited to see that.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, and that's just the mastermind, Andy Rovat himself, going through that. And I got to go to several youth wrestling practices in Russia too, and see what they focus on and what their practice is like. Because that's just a really big thing. Because if you can, again, our 4 goals with Base Wrestling is we increase the participation, because you always want more kids. And I know that's a big thing about Beat the Streets, is the more kids we get, the better it's going to be. We want to increase the retention. So you have more kids who are around longer, and you increase the physical literacy and athletic development. Now you have more kids around longer who are better athletes. We all know at the youth program, that's going to be a better team, and you haven't even showed a move yet. So now when you add in, best practices and the best way for kids to learn, you're going to just see an explosion, of the sport and, of the program.
Sounds beautiful. All right, now let's concentrate on the gala itself. So you got to wrestle in the gala this year. So it was a fantastic experience. I think it looked beautiful. But how many years have you actually been involved, or going to the gala?
I've gone 2009. I was asked, but my shoulder was messed up, so I didn't get to go. I wrestled in it 2010. 2011, I think I stayed back that year, or the Olympic year, because of my shoulder as well.
Right.
And 2013, I was there as a announcer, which is cool. Last year, I stayed home. Oh, no, last year I went as well, because I got to put on the attack band match with some of the Beat the Streets guys.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that.
This year, I'm back in it.
Nice.
So a long time.
Yeah, so you've been involved with it for a while.
Which is what we need. We need, that event raises a ton of money for Beat the Streets. Yep. And you got to spend money to make money. And, big successful people know that, and they're not afraid to take that risk to go out and get a big arena or get a huge venue like Times Square and put a bunch of celebrities in there and just put something on, take a risk. And I think that's something that most of our leadership tends not to do. They don't take big risks. Like the World Championships are coming this year to the United States, and I am upset that they are not in MGM. Right in the finals, at least the finals set up in there or something like that. But, we're in the South Point, which is supposed to be a nice venue, and not the South Point, I'm sorry, the New Orleans. Looks nice and everything, but I guess I was hoping for bigger or better. I haven't gotten to see it yet, but I feel like taking risks like that is something that this sport needs. And it's just going to draw and attract bigger people, bigger sponsors, bigger, everything else that we can continue to grow and excel.
I couldn't agree with you more. And, the whole entrepreneurial thing, I want to get back to that in a little bit. But can you tell me a little bit about what it was like wrestling in Times Square?
It's awesome. I mean, I've had every year I've been there, somebody is walking down the street and is stops. And I'm at the gate and they go, Herbert, what are you doing here? Why are you in that VIP area, that section? I'm like, oh, I'm about to wrestle in the Cuban or the Russian here in Times Square. And they go, what? I'm like, what are you doing here? They're like, oh, I have a job, down on 47th Street or something like that. And every year I've seen that, and it brings such a great crowd and great awareness, and the world's oldest sport in the biggest little part where everybody's just that atmosphere. Nothing else is like that.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I love it. So, huge, hands off to Mike Novogratz and I mean, you guys that beat the streets. The work that it takes. Poor Ron every year picks me up from the airport and he's always telling me how tired he is. And he's just like driving everybody, picking up the mats, him and Jim Fallis. It's just like, I see like the stress, on them. But once they get the event up and going, it's worth it because the budget that they raised for those kids there is, you can put a price on it, I guess, but it's unbelievable what it does.
Yeah, but you definitely can't put a price on the look you see on these kids' faces. One, when they get to participate in the gala, and then just like every day at the practices, man. I really, not something that I get to do all the time, but when I get the opportunity to go and practice with some of these kids, it's really enjoyable. Which actually brings me to my next question. So you've seen the gala grow, you've seen wrestling in New York City grow. So like, I just wanted to hear your thoughts about wrestling in New York City and just in general the urban youth as an untapped market of wrestling.
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, you don't know who's going to come out of there, and that's the best thing about this sport. You need a pair of shoes, and a place to grapple, and you can be Jordan Burroughs. There's no reason why not, and it's fantastic to have a program like Beat the Streets doing this. And now when we give them the world-class training program and show them, hey, when you start here, you can go all the way to Jordan Burroughs level. You can get that, and the best thing is, hey, you can earn college scholarship. Like Richie Sisti, is here at the University of Michigan. Came up through the Beat the Streets programs, and he's a great kid, hard worker. He looks like a Greek god, which is great. And it's been fantastic getting to know him, getting to work out with him, and then again, Rosalie is another great example of that. That success that's coming up, that diamond in the rough, because who knows where she would be without wrestling. And there's just so many examples of that, of how wrestling makes you a better person and how it's going to prepare for life, because these kids are getting away from a bad situation and they're being put in and taught the most important lesson on the wrestling match. Those life lessons that you cannot learn or replicate in a classroom. Being down by a couple points, having to come back from adversity, having to know it's all on you and it's up to you, and you're responsible for your own success, and only you can hit 50 high crotches in a row, but if you don't put anything in it, it's like reading a book and going, I'm done with 50 pages. That's not sitting down and absorbing it. And when these kids learn that, their limit in life, that bar raises a little more of what they can do, a little more of their potential, and that's what you want. With this sport, and that's going to go on, because they're going to then go on to make great leaders and have kids, and then when they have kids, they want their kids to have the same thing they have, so they're going to put them back into wrestling, and now it completes the circle. That's what we're all about, is completing that circle here with wrestling.
Beautiful, man. I love your enthusiasm. And just as another example for everybody that's kind of watching, listening, is Nathaniel Rose this year. I mean, my old college teammate is coaching him in high school right now, Ryan Cooley, and Nathaniel won Beat the Streets Wrestler of the Year, City Wrestler of the Year. He's got a scholarship to Buffalo, and let me tell you, man, he comes from a hard neighborhood, and it's really exciting to see the growth that he's experienced over the last few years and the attention that he's brought to New York City wrestling. I mean, 2-time New York State champ coming from the city. I wrestled in New York in high school, and that was unheard of and that wasn't too long ago, to have a state champ or even just a tough kid coming out of the city. So it's really exciting. That's why here at Gotham City Wrestling, we're excited to report on that too. We're excited to tell those stories.
I love it. I love the name of it too, that you guys went with good old Gotham City. You need to get Bill Scheer to head up your committee as Batman. Or sorry, Bruce Wayne. I don't want to give it away.
Don't give it all away.
Yeah, give it all away.
Yeah, good old Mikey. He came up with that tagline, Gotham sees all. Makes me very dark. But cool. And so, all right, perfect. And this is a perfect segue. So, we're talking about, and I really think this, I'll put in my two thoughts real quick. I really think this is another important part of growing wrestling and growing this sport, is bringing more entrepreneurship, more, like you said, risk-taking, more innovative approaches to building the sport. And I mean, I think we're seeing that with Flow Wrestling, with with some of these, the podcasts that are coming out. You're seeing some changes around, wrestling technology. People are putting out apps, so it's good. And that's where I kind of see us coming in with Gotham City Wrestling as well. But you're also an entrepreneur, and I saw you chatting it up with Tim Ferriss at the gala. So let me know if you wanna. That was pretty awesome. Let me know if you want to tell us a little bit more about like double leg ninja and all of the cool projects that you're working on.
So my essentially my two things is you heard about base wrestling. We want to grow the sport. The more wrestlers there are, the better it's going to be for people like myself who do camps and clinics and motivational speeches, things like that. Because again, wrestling's given so much to me. I'm never going to be able to give it all back. I love being able to not just coach the kids, but coach the coaches. Because if I busted my balls and I could maybe coach 200 kids a year, maybe 250 if I had a huge facility, a huge program, but it's hard to consistently get. 250 kids is a lot that's really splitting my time to do all that. But if I can now reach 500 coaches, 1,000 coaches who can now go get, somewhere between 20 and 100 kids. And now those coaches get better. Now I've expanded my reach, tenfold, or now I've hit, 50,000 kids. 100,000 kids are now better because of me, because I want to think big like that. And that's Tim Ferriss thinking. That's, Jim Harshaw, thinking. That's Elon Musk, the power of thinking big. So that's what I want to do. I want to be America's youth coach's coach. That's what I want to do and help. So when doing this, there's, we're going to really help the nonprofit side, and it's wrestling. I'm not going to make my millions off of this. We have other avenues. We want to eventually go into essentially MMA would be fantastic, wrestling for MMA. And then multi-sport athletic development is really the big thing, because you give me a 6-year-old, by the time he is 10, he's going to front handspring, back handspring, walk on his hands, forward, backwards, be able to jump up on a Bosu ball, do 10 squats on it, pull-ups, climb a rope. And now at 10 years old, when you can do that, you're a ninja. Go pick your sport. He's going to be the best at baseball, football, soccer, basketball, wrestling, lacrosse, whatever he wants. And now I think that's where we need the youth wrestling program to step up and say, hey, not only are we going to teach your kids wrestling, but we're going to teach them this multi-sport athletic development so they can have complete master control of their body. And now when you have more of that, those kids are going to need apparel. They're going to need shorts, shirts, all that stuff to wear. So that's where my selfish side is with Double Leg Ninja. That's what I'm using to feed myself right now. That's how I eat. That's how I support my Olympic journey. Because like I said, I won the U.S. Open. There's a $3,000 bonus check. So, that's gone. And
that pays for rent.
Yeah, it's rent and a little bit of food.
Yeah.
So, I'm not getting rich off of this sport, but we've done a fantastic job. We helped 25 teams last year get their wrestling apparel, and we make it easy because I know what high school wrestling coaches get paid, and it is not a lot. Especially when you break down that hour per dollar of what they are. So again, we make it's pennies. Don't even add it up because you don't even want to know.
Yeah,
that's not.
I try not to think about those things. If I look at my coaching salary, try not to.
So what we do is we want to make it easier on the high school coach. Not only do we want to help them, coach better and have better wrestlers and have more success, but we don't want you wasting time, running down and running down money from all your kids, collecting sizes from all of your kids. We have an easy system. Once we get your artwork up and going at Double Leg Ninja, now leave it on us. We will ship directly to everybody on your team. They go in there, they pick their sizes, they order their gear, and we have a team store that we can keep open for 1 day or 5 weeks, however long that you need it. And we can get all that gear shipped to you. If the school wants to help out, we're really easy at doing that. If the school pays for a portion of it, and then the kids can order another part, and then, we want to help the programs. So what we do now, since all the parents are going to be going on and ordering anyways, and now all that is off of you guys as coaches, off your shoulders, and the parents see, I can, right here's my Gotham City Wrestling, hoodie, and it's the fundraiser hoodie. So I buy this hoodie, and I know that every 100% of the proceed is going right back to Gotham City Wrestling. Now maybe you make enough to pay for your singlets, or you make enough to get that extra couple $100 so you can bring in a Double Leg Ninja clinician like myself or Andy to go back into the program. So that's what we're really doing, is just taking it online and updating it, rather than doing it the old school way of coaches running down sizes, money, and all that stuff. And then again, ordering through Double Leg Ninja helps me to support my Olympic dream. And then what we do is we take a portion of our proceeds and we donate it back to the Cliff Keen Wrestling Club. So other guys are going off to do their dream. And we want to be able to have a sales force of, Double Leg Ninja Cliff Keen Wrestling Clubs who are going out and getting their team to come back, so that I know that the more money Double Leg Ninja makes, the more I want to invest back into wrestling, so that the sport then grows more. So that's more money. And it's just that, again, completing that circle again.
Beautiful.
So that's the world domination scheme. And then eventually we'll take over the world.
Sounds like a pretty good scheme. I'm not sure where there's a bridge there somewhere between making a few bucks off selling equipment to fund your to pay for your protein and taking over the world, but it's somewhere in there.
It is, but when you get it to where it's mandatory, where everybody has wrestled for at least 1 or 2 years, and we can guarantee when you go through our base wrestling program, you're going to have a great experience with the sport, and you're going to love it, and it's going to make you, better, not just as an athlete, but a better person with the philosophies and everything we have in. It's going to make the world a better place. Because I truly believe if everybody was forced to mandatory try wrestling for 1 year and try it the right way, not with like the coach who's it's day one, you're doing burpees and sprints, and all right, you're on week 3, go wrestle your live tournament, sink or swim, buddy. Yeah, when you have it a right way where they're playing with the attack bands, they're in an environment where they're learning, they're at their own pace, and they're successful with it, you're going to make the world a better place. And that's just that's just true as true can be, because when I go to places like Russia and Azerbaijan and these places like where people think it's scary, like I'm welcome with open arms, because those guys, as rough or as rude or as the television makes them out to be, they're great guys at heart, and they know how hard I've worked, and they respect me for it, and I respect them just as much, because the harder they battle me, they bring out the best in me. So it's just all around a great thing, and I really believe that wrestling is going to save this world.
Yeah. I truly believe that combat sports and wrestling in particular, everybody should have the opportunity to try them. There's a change to your ego that happens after you've been involved in that kind of combat. That's critical, I think. So that being said, I do want to come back to one question, and that was I was talking to you about Double Leg Ninja, and I know you guys are doing something with Beat the Streets, which is kind of one of the reasons we set up this interview, is for you to get a chance to tell us a little bit about that.
So you look at those beautiful singlets that the Cubans and the Americans had on. We have, we put together the gear for that. And again, it's like the fundraising opportunity I was talking about with your team, that your team can set up and do. We're doing it for Beat the Streets. You buy one of the singlets, you go to doublelegninja.com, boom, it's right up there, the Beat the Streets Gala. The collection's there. Order a singlet, order a shirt, order something. Not only, do I get a chance to show you what we do here at Double Leg Ninja and what I've been able to build, with the help of my business partners over the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. But all those proceeds are going right back to that Beat the Streets program. So I'm going to be happy when we can write a check for, Beat the Streets and give them that check back to the program to know, hey, I know I didn't raise, $1.5 million like Novigrass was able to do, but here's my portion to help. Nice. This is what I'm doing to help the sport out. And, it's the best thing we can do right now.
Beautiful. Mm-hmm. Nice. All right. If you have a couple more minutes, I'd love to ask you a little bit about your mindset and how you approach that.
The matches, or?
Well, so I got a couple things here. One thing I just wanted to tell you real quick. So I've actually, we talk about how 90% of a match is mental, right? I think a lot of people say that. And yet when you look at a typical program's training schedule or training calendar, where is the mental training? It's not written out. So why are you neglecting like the 90% part of the match? That's my thought. So one of the things I started this year at NYU was a mindset training program. Basically, like at least once a week, let's set aside 30 minutes where we can focus strictly on mindset. And one of the first things we did, of course, we talked about purpose. And when we talked about that, I talked about your article. I brought up your article where you wrote, "Why do I wrestle?" which I thought was great. It showed how your purpose evolved over the course of your career, and how you've went from doing something, you're wrestling for your dad, to wrestling to represent Northwestern, to wrestling because, as you mentioned earlier, we need more wrestlers. I think that's beautiful. So from that perspective, I just wanted to ask you first, like what type of mindset training do you do, and I guess that would be related to your base program.
Like I said, that's a tough question. I'll try to answer it as best as I can, but you need to have a purpose. Why you wrestle, and that's a really big thing. And I think if you look at the difference right now between myself and Ed Ruth, I wrestle because I love the sport. I want to be a world champion. I want to be a world champion in the sport of wrestling more than anything in the world right now. That's my number one goal, being a world and Olympic champion. That's my number one focus. That's what I not just believe consciously, but subconsciously. I dream about it. My body does the right things. I'm not even thinking about it when I see, my friends are going off snowmobiling and jumping off this cliff. I'm like, oh, that'd be really fun, but I don't want to break my leg and not be able to wrestle. So consciously and subconsciously, I'm making those decisions. So it's ingrained to who I am. Is a really big thing. And you look at somebody like Ed Ruth, I know he's not waking up every day and he wants to win a world title in wrestling more than anything. I know he's got his eye on that MMA step. That's next for him. And maybe he's looking too far ahead. I know if you ask him, hey, would you rather have an Olympic gold medal or a UFC title right now? Which one? I know which one he would pick. So when it becomes deep and hard during our match and it's minute 5 and it's 13-13 and we got to dig down deeper, I'm going to have more drive, more force, more want, more need, more heart, more guts than anybody else will have when it comes down to that. So to get to this way, that's something I was really thinking about because I was approached by like this guy that does hypnotism, and he hypnotizes like athletes into it. What he does is he gets into your subconscious so that you're always thinking about it, so you can quit smoking or win this world title or do this. So I don't know if it's just how I was raised or just everything I've worked for. But I mean, a lot of self-talk before my matches, a lot of, I spend 5-10 minutes every day where I'll set a clock on my phone and I'll just lay there and I'll think about what I want. Think about that world title, write it down. I have it written right above my my bathroom. So every time I go to pee in the morning, the first thing I see is 2015 world champion. It's right there in my locker. It's right here on my home screen. What I want to have. My goals are written down, so every single day I see them, so that it does get into that subconscious. And that's such a big thing because everyone's purpose is going to be different. Not everyone's going to want to win a world title. Not everyone is wrestling to be a state champion. Everyone's going to be doing it for a different reason. It doesn't matter what that reason is. All you need to know is you can't fail if you continue to try. And that's the biggest thing I look at people. I failed at my goal in 2012. So I wanted to be an Olympic gold medalist. And I'll say this to kids, when I'm at a wrestling camp, I'll be like, listen, I won 2 national titles. I won a world silver medal. I've been on some world teams. I've been the wrestler of the year in the United States. I'm a 2012 Olympian, but I view myself as a failure because I didn't get a gold medal. Like, do any of you guys view me as a failure? And all of them shake their head. Absolutely not. You've done more than 99.9% will ever do in the sport. But in failing to become an Olympic gold medalist, I became an Olympian. I got to visit the White House. I got to, be in Foxcatcher. I got to be on the Howard Stern radio show. I got to go to New York City and hang out with Novogratz and like do all this crazy stuff. And that was me failing. So set your goals that high where you fail that gracefully, I guess, like I did. Is what I try to tell people, because as long as you don't quit, you never truly fail.
I like that a lot. Set your goals high so you can fail gracefully. Beautiful. And so, real quick, I did hear that you have a hard time putting on a serious face before a match. Is that true?
Not before a match, no.
That you're like so happy inside that you're almost like giddy, that you're like want to be smiling, but you gotta come out there and battle.
I gotta get ready, and that's a self-talk. I just, this guy's out here trying to take my dream. It's what I've worked. It's what I got this black eye for. It's why my knee hurts. It's why my back hurts. It's why, I'm not a multimillionaire running a Fortune 500 company right now, is because I've chosen to do this. So I'm not going to let this guy stop me from getting my goal. In 1 week from today, I'm weighing in to go represent, myself, so I can represent the United States of America in Las Vegas and make sure that 86 kilo gold medal stays here. That doesn't go back to another country. It's not going back to Russia. It's not going back to Iran. It's not going back to Cuba. It's staying here. And that's my goal.
Nice.
So, I psych myself up because I think of all the hurt, all the practice, all the work. And I know, I worked harder. I worked smarter. I worked better, that I want it more. And that when it comes down to, all right, it's either this guy's going to score on me, or I'm going to die, he better be ready to kill me. Because that's the only way I'm going to fight him that hard with everything in my body. And if you go into that, not just wrestling, but you go into any homework, mowing the lawn, any job with that type of attitude, you're going to be above and beyond anything that a normal person or even like an elite wrestler will have, which already puts you in the top 8% of the world of like eliteness. So that's just the mentality that I attack not just life with, but everything that I'm blessed and able to do.
Got it, got it. And we actually at Gotham City Wrestling here with Beat the Streets, we're organizing a viewing party for that competition. So hopefully we'll be watching you in the finals, or we'll be watching you. And I'll have the details down below about how you can come join us somewhere in the city for that party. All right, so parting words. Tell us about your hairstyle.
Oh, this old mullet? Well, if you watch like the Flow video, we have that one, the comeback. My hair was so long and so beautiful, but I just couldn't. Every time I'm wrestling, I have to do this, and you couldn't put it back up. So like, power to the women's wrestlers who are able to compete and wrestle with that hair every single day. I couldn't do it anymore. So and I guess great, Angry Fish and Jake Herbert fashion, I had to go hard with this mullet, because essentially I put myself in a corner where if I didn't win the U.S. Open, I just look like a dick. I really had to get it done. So I guess with a haircut like this, it worked really well. I had, my business in the front and let them know, hey, I'm partying in the back. And,
You're like Samson.
I get it going.
Modern day Samson over here, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Jake, really appreciate it. I want to thank you again for your time.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed that steak.
Fantastic. It's all right. I got the tea left. So
I think in terms of information, though, you gave us a ton to chew on. As I mentioned, the info for the viewing party is going to be down below. We'll also link to Double Leg Ninja and all that fun stuff. And I'm looking forward to seeing you wrestle soon, man.
Awesome. I can't wait. I want to thank you guys for what you're doing, too, with Gotham City Wrestling. And, big hi to Mike as well. Make sure you get his back lined up a little bit. That picture I saw was just... You ever see his scoliosis picture?
God. He's a mess. He's a mess.
Well, I know. Thank you guys for doing it. And as I said, we look forward to continue to work together and make this world a better place through wrestling.
Hell yeah. Cool. Me too. Take care.